Hello again. Just read an interesting article. I guess it was written by Alan West. As I've said before, I'm not super impressed with Alan West. He's, I think, a political hack. He could have done a lot more to help, and he chose not to because he was going to run for some other political office, which is what I think he's still doing. But in either case, there's an interesting article. The title, Military's Frustration with Obama Reaches Fever Pitch. Now, what I want you to take a look at is the photograph of Obama. It's a close-up. If there's any dermatologists out there, you want to sort of comment on those little scars all over his face? Those little scars, I think, show where the skin tags were removed. The similar skin tags that Frank Marshall Davis had all over his face. The difference is Barack's sperm donor couldn't afford a dermatologist like Barack Hussein Obama can. He just goes to Walter Reed and says, hey, get rid of these. You also know that the chosen one had a nose job, right? To reduce the African kind of flair that his papa had. I'm not talking about Barack Obama Sr. There's no resemblance between the two, but there is a strong resemblance between Barack Hussein Obama and Frank Marshall Davis. But this isn't what this is all about. The article starts off, military's frustration with Obama reaches fever pitch. It only took nearly 7 years now. Prominent lawmakers from both sides of the political aisle are openly acknowledging what has likely been the case for quite some time. Frustration with the administration among top military brass is at a fever pitch. Now, that's interesting because if I recall correctly, Obama's removed about 200 top military brass that weren't willing to sort of play his game. I guess those that are left have reached their breaking point as well. Key lawmakers from both parties say frustration with the White House among top military officers is at its highest level in decades. The product of President Obama's cautious approach to wars in Syria and Iraq, and an indecisive inner circle of White House advisors who critics say have iced the Pentagon out of the policy-making process. It goes on to say, quote, there's a level of dissatisfaction among the uniformed military that I've never seen in my time here, said Senate Armed Services Committee Chairman John McCain. Oh, by the way, McCain should be in Leavenworth, but that's a different story. In an interview, quote, for some of us who are a little older, let's go back and read the Pentagon Papers. What the administration is doing is kind of incrementalizing that defined much of the Vietnam conflict. What the senator from Arizona was making reference to is how the White House pretty much dictated who was going to bomb and who wasn't going to bomb, what was going to be bombed, what wasn't going to be bombed. L.B. Johnson liked having that kind of control, as did his predecessor. The Arizona Republican is known as a fierce critic of President Obama's foreign policy, but his complaints were echoed by an unlikely source, Representative Adam Smith, the ranking Democrat on the House Armed Services Committee. Frustration among the uniformed service is real, the Washington Democrats said, adding that the administration does keep things in the White House and has not been more inclusive in the decision-making process. Well, that's because Obama doesn't know what the hell he's doing. I mean, he's a community organizer. And what does Valerie Jarrett know other than to be a slum landlord? The whole thing's insane. Absolutely and totally insane. It goes on to talk about the 50 special operators that Obama's sending into the war zone. You don't think they have targets on their back by the simple fact that Obama's advertised how many and where they're being sent. The whole thing is totally insane. But hey, it is what it is. The American people that voted for this jackass need to ask themselves the question, do you want to vote for another jackass like Hillary Rotten Clinton?